Greetings all, another Bladeguard Kitbash today as I have a couple of them left, and this time it will be for my Emperor's Spears force. Now from the books where they are prominently featured, the homeworld Nemeton of the Emperor's Spears chapter is stated to be quite tribal, so I wanted to lean into this tribal hunter theme, but whilst the obvious would be go with adding lots of fur on the model, I figured I would take a step away from the fur with this one. To begin with, I started with one of the Indomitus Bladeguard as my base model. Not a great deal of adjustments here, it's mostly changing the weapon, the shield, and adding some trophies to my Bladeguard. And to start off with, after cleaning the model, would be to work on the shield and its arm. Now I decided to go with the round shield from the Stormcast Annihilator's kit, and because the Indomitus Bladeguard shields have the arm attached to them, I would need to use the arm from that same Annihilator's kit. Using my clippers, I could carefully remove the Bladeguard arm around the elbow area, making sure to put the flat of my clippers against the part I wanted to keep. And once that is done, I can do the same with the Annihilator arm. With the arm cut, I then dry fitted the shield to see if the angle was correct, and it was only a little out. I could have trimmed a bit more here to get a better angle, but there was enough to glue, so I figured I would just fit it and fill the gap with a little green stuff later on. Once the arm is glued on, I can then stick the body parts together, giving it a good squeezing to make sure it's all nice and tight, before moving on to the right arm and the weapon. Now for this one, it's going to be a nice easy weapon swap. I'm going to use this spear here from the Stormcast Vindictor kit to replace the power sword with. I probably won't be doing this to the whole squad, because every model in the army having a spear might be a little bit over the top, but I'm guessing the leaders can certainly have one without it being too much of a problem. Now, in my Lieutenant Kitbash for the Emperor's Spears, I snipped the weapon off either side of the hand and pinned it in place onto the Space Marine hand. However, I am going to carefully snip the whole hand off, as the Vindictor hand is so similar in size, and positioning two halves of the spear is a lot harder to do. The majority of this can be done with clippers before tidying the area with my knife and shaping both parts to fit as best as I can, although the angle of the hand I would still need a little green stuff work to fill the gap at the join later on. And with a little glue added and the parts together, I could set it aside as done for now and begin work on the front of the shield. Now the Annihilator's shield has a big old face symbol in the middle of it, and this isn't going to fit very well. Maybe if I was very good at sculpting, I could shape it into something that could be vaguely passed off as the Emperor, but as I am not, I'm going to carefully shave it all off with my knife, whilst trying to retain the little lightning-y bits around the edge of it, as this lightning design I feel works really well for the Emperor's Spears. In fact, I feel the shield as a whole has some good symbolism for their stormy wet world, which was a major part of my choice when selecting this shield. Now that's trimmed down, I wanted to take some green stuff and make sure the area was nice and flat in the middle of the shield to contrast the area around it. So I'm going to add a little green stuff to the face and smooth it all out, taking equal parts of blue and green putty. It can be mixed together with a small amount added to the front of the shield. Then, with a damp finger and a cocktail stick, I could shape it around to where I wanted it, giving me a nice smooth surface. And, whilst I have the green stuff made up, I could use some to fill in the little armour gaps around the left elbow and the right wrist, again taking a small amount and a damp cocktail stick to poke and prod it into shape. With the more bulky work done, I can move on to adding a few things to mark this guy out as maybe a hunter, a taker of trophies, like the tribe on his homeworld. To begin with, I'm going to take this little plume I have from the crest of a Slaaneshi Hellstrider helmet. I had originally planned to add the crest to the Bladeguard helmet, as you may see in some footage here, but it didn't resonate too well with me, so I opted for the plain helm. This plume, however, I could stick to the head of his spear as a trophy, maybe from some great beast eater. After that, what says trophy more than the skulls of your enemies? So I have selected an orc skull from the Citadel skulls kit to attach to his waist. To fit, however, I'm going to have to take my clippers and snip off the back of the skull a little so it sits flush with his belt, otherwise it may look a little silly. And then some plastic glue can be added and the skull can be attached in place. The next trophy I'm going to use is this little string of hearts from the Melusai Blood Stalkers or Blood Sisters kit, and I'm going to place this one on the clasp of his pistol holder. The original clasp will have to be removed with a quick snip of my knife, and this new gory one can be added in its place. The final trophy I'm going to add is this set of antlers from the Sisters of the Thorn kit, for whilst it's not stated that there are deer on Nemeton, who says he hasn't hunted things on other worlds? Perhaps these are from some demonic entity, or just an epic hunt on some far-off world that he really wants to remember. Either way, they're going to be attached to the front of his shield. As the green stuff is still soft, I could place them where I wanted and give a good firm push to seat them in the middle of the shield. Later on, once everything is dry, I can come in with a little superglue just to make that bond permanent. All that's left for now is the green stuff has to dry. I need to add a backpack, and after a base and some paint, this fella will be ready. I chose to keep him in pieces after painting, as I wanted to try out some things with the painting that would be easier if there wasn't arms and stuff in the way. Also, with the head being white, it would be easier to paint this one separately, as I will be using my airbrush for the blue base coat. And here he is, all finished up and painted, my take on a Bladeguard of the Emperor's Spears chapter. Now, other than the colour, this guy could work fairly well for any other tribal chapter, or maybe one with a background of being hunters, but as I have a small force of spears, I painted him this way. I hope you enjoyed this Kitbash. If you did, consider hitting the like button and maybe drop a comment, and if you're not subscribed but like this sort of content, maybe hit the sub button, as I have a fair few on the channel and will continue to make more for the foreseeable future. Anyways, stay safe and have a good one all.